Turn your cameras on, guys, before we start. Okay, then. So here we are. All right, so this week we're going to be looking at the listening section. So let's start with the structure. In this section, you will have either 5 or 7 tasks, and this will be depending on how many tasks you had in the reading section. So I don't know if you guys remember, but in the reading, I told you you could have either 3 or 4 passages, and I said, and that's gonna determine how many tasks you have in the listening section. So if you have a shorter reading section, then you will have the longer listening version. But if you have the shorter reading section, if you have the longer reading section, then you will have the shorter listening. So it's gonna be, everything's gonna make up for everything. It's gonna be compensated and balanced, and it's gonna be fair, of course. And obviously, you will have more time if you get more tasks. If you have less tasks, then you will have less time. So either 5 or 7 tasks. If you get 5, then you got 41 minutes. And if you get 7, then you got 57. Now, these tasks will be divided into 2 parts. So you will have at the beginning some conversations. You will be listening to some conversations and, of course, answering questions about them. And then you will be listening to lectures. So that's where it's going to get a bit more complex, but it will still be okay. Now, today we're going to be looking at the conversations, and next class we're going to go through the lectures. So you don't have that many questions per task. So the conversations have 5 questions each, and the lectures have 6 questions each. So I think that's approachable, it's okay. The conversations, to be honest, I think that's probably one of the, if not the easiest, probably one of the easiest parts in the whole test. So I would really say take advantage of that. I think you all can get a perfect score in the conversations. It's quite easy. The lectures, they are a bit harder, but you will see that the conversations are usually not that hard. Okay, so in the conversations, what exactly will they be about? So these conversations will be taking place on campus. So you know that the TOEFL is so related to college life in the States. Sorry. So these conversations will take place there. Now, they will be between a student and a campus work. So you will always have the exact same thing. Basically, there's a student that has a problem, and the student is going to ask for help, someone, so the campus worker could be anyone that works on campus. It could be a professor, it could be the librarian, maybe, it could be an advisor, the academic advisor, it could be the accommodation officer, whoever you can think of that works on campus could be the one. And that's the way it is, the student goes to see the professor, the librarian, whoever that campus worker is, and ask for some advice. So that's it. Okay, guys. So any questions so far about the structure or the conversations? All right. So some general tips before we get to the example and everything. So first thing, for the whole listening section, don't try to understand everything, and don't freak out if there are some words that you don't know, that you don't understand, that you can't quite catch. That's totally fine. You don't really have to, at least in the conversations, to be honest, I don't think you have to understand every single word, As long as you get the main idea, you get what's going on and everything, you will be more than fine. So it's okay if there are some words that you're not so familiarized with, that's okay. Don't take notes on everything. Don't try to create a transcript and write down every single thing that you're hearing. That's just gonna be harder for you because, you know, taking notes and listening at the same time is kind of hard. And it's not gonna be useful at all. I think that's just gonna mix you up. So just try to take notes on the details, okay? And I'll talk about this when we get to the types of questions. But only things that you don't really, that you couldn't remember just with, you know, without your notes. So we will see what exactly to take notes on. Don't get distracted by anything. If you're taking the home edition test, for example, and something goes wrong, and I don't know, maybe your internet connection is not working, or if you're in the test center and you get distracted by the people around you, then they will never, ever give you the chance to listen again, you know? So you really want to be careful with that. You can only listen once, and no matter what happens, you cannot listen more than once. Regarding how it works, the questions are going to be delivered to you one at a time, only after you have finished listening to the audio. That means that you cannot answer the questions while you're listening. So after you're done listening to the audio, then you will have access to the questions, and only one at a time. So you cannot really go to question 5 and back to 1 or then to 3. Remember how you did in the reading section? That's not the case anymore. You get them one by one after you listen to the lecture or to the conversation. You cannot skip questions, so you cannot like physically leave a question in blank. You just have to guess in case you don't know, and you cannot go back. So if you're not so sure of one answer, then you only have one chance, you know? Careful with time, although I would say it's not like in the reading anymore. So you can take your time, but obviously you're not going to be spending like 5 minutes in one question. The thing about the listening section is either you remember the answer, either you have it in your notes, or you don't. There's no other way around. You know, it's not like in the reading where you could try to go back and reread and see if you can find the answer or figure it out. So no, you remember or you don't. And if you don't, you guess and you move on. Try not to get stuck, you know, the same thing. Regarding your notes, you know, try not to write, as I was saying, a transcript. So don't write complete sentences. Use symbols to help you out. Use the right amount of space in your paper, and have your notes organized. You know, that's what I could say. So I think that's it. Any questions now? Okay then. Now about the questions that you will have. There are actually 6 types of questions that you can find. At the beginning, you usually have this main idea type of question that's asking about the main idea, you know, the initial problem. If it's a lecture, what's the main topic of the lecture? It's usually the first one. It's very common to have it. You also have this function or purpose, in which you will be asked to listen again to a portion of the audio, which is not that frequent. You got 1 or 2 in a set of questions. Sometimes, not so often though, you got this organization type of question that is asking about how the professor organizes the lecture. This is mostly for the lectures, not in the conversation so much. This attitude type of question, you will see them a lot in the conversations, and they're asking about you know, the professors or the students' attitude towards something. So how does the student feel, or how does the professor feel about this? That's your question. Sometimes you got this inference question, like what can be inferred, in the same thing as in the reading. But most of the time you will have detailed questions. And here's the thing. If you think about it, for 5 out of 6 questions, you don't need your notes. For the main idea, function, organization, you don't need to use your notes. You don't even need to take notes. However, for the detailed questions, you do. And these are the most frequent ones. I'm sorry, my internet. Okay. And the details are the most common ones, you know, so you do have to take notes, but only in the details, you know, when you hear any numbers or any percentages or any names maybe or dates or things like that, you know, that specific that type of specific information, then that's when you want to take notes, not for everything, to be honest. So I think that's it regarding the types of questions, and we will go through them, but with an example. That's the best way. So, that okay? Any questions now? All right. Now, some other tips I could give you, and for everything, you know, try to be logical. In case you don't know the answer to a question, or you're not so sure, you're torn between two options, then sometimes you can reason it out, you know, you can use your logic to help you out. So first thing, when you got this main idea type of question, so the first one in the conversations. So let's say you got this question here. Right now we have zero context. We haven't heard the conversation. We don't know what it's about or what the problem is or what's going on at all. But we will try to see, I don't know, which options we could consider eliminating, and you will see what I mean. So can anybody please read this question?
I can do.
Okay, Cayetano, thanks.
Why does the student go to see the professor? To talk about her paper or farming practice? To ask if she can study abroad in Guatemala? To discuss her research on agricultural practice and environmental conditions? To see if she can become a Spanish major?
Okay, great. So what do you guys think? Are there any options that you would discard that you think don't make that much sense? Anyone doesn't feel right?
Maybe the last one.
Okay, D, and why D?
I don't know, maybe in order to see if she can become a Spanish major, maybe she or he has to talk to a superior, another professor of the career or something like that.
Great. So yeah, that's perfect. That's correct. So that's exactly where I was going. Think about when you got this main idea, think about who the campus worker is, in this case, the professor, and think about what their role is. So what's the professor's job? So as you were saying, like if you want to see if you can change your major or anything, then maybe you need to go to see a different person, you know, maybe the advisor or the Spanish dean or something like that. But it's probably not going to be the professor. So that's correct. Now that you have that in mind, any other one that you would discard out of these four or these three?
B.
B, great. To ask if she can study abroad in Guatemala. So I don't think that's the professor's job, is it? Now, A and C, both of them make sense. If you go to see your professor, then it's probably going to be about academic things, you know, like a paper that you got to do or an assignment or a research, or maybe it's about your grades or an exam coming or something, but it's probably not going to be about this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So that's the tip for the main idea type of question. All right, regarding these attitude types of questions. So remember that the attitude question is asking about not exactly, you know, information that you have that's directly stated in like by the speakers, but this is asking about feelings, you know, so how does the professor feel, or what attitude does the professor have towards this, or does the student have towards that? So let's read the question and then we'll see what the tip is. Who can read this time?
Oh, I can read if you want.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
great.
What attitude does the professor have towards the student's work? A, he's impressed by the novel's originality. B, he's concerned that the students may find the novel difficult to read. C, he's bored by the novel's descriptions of ordinary events. D, he's eager to write a book about a less familiar subject.
Okay, thank you so much, David. So in this case, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Any options you would wanna eliminate that you think don't fit that much?
I will discard C. If he
Okay,
thinks the novel is boring, he wouldn't assign the students to read the novel.
okay, that's funny. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, I would also eliminate C. So yeah, if he thinks the novel is boring, then why would he assign it? Okay. Any other one?
Teacher,
Yeah.
I think the D is not.
Okay, and why B?
D, the D,
B.
because is the D exactly. Okay. No, D.
I,
Sorry,
what?
the other one. Yes, sorry, teacher.
Okay. And why?
Because it's the answer is talking about he wants to write a book and it's not relation with the student's work.
Yeah, you're right, Joaquin. That's okay. Yeah. So that's great. I mean, he writing a book, what does that have to do with the student's work? You're kind of right. Okay, so yeah, I would actually eliminate the two that you said, C and D. Okay, about C, you know, what if the student's work is the novel? You know, it's not something that the professor assigned, but something that the student has written. So we don't know, right? Right now we don't have context. And of course, what I'm saying right now is just something extra. Of course, the way that you gotta answer, I mean, the ideal scenario is you having evidence for this, right? So you're gonna say, well, so he mentioned this, so he must be bored, or he mentioned that, so he must be impressed. The same one for the previous one. Now, so in case you don't know, or you're not too sure, when you get these attitude questions, always try to go for the ones that are positive, because that's what they're trying to show. You know, they're trying to show the bright side of things, and the professor is supposed to be nice, or not the professor, you know, the campus worker, whoever that person is supposed to be nice and kind and helpful. So try to eliminate the ones that seem too rude or too negative, that don't look so nice, because that's what they're trying to show, you know? So he's bored, he's upset, he's mad at the student, or he's angry, or he wants to go home. I don't know. That kind of stuff is probably not going to be there. The next one, as Joaquin said, this one doesn't really make that much sense, because why would he be thinking about writing his own book? You know, when your student approaches you with their work, you're not going to be like, oh, I think I'm going to be writing this book. So obviously it could be A or B, impressed, concerned, who knows, but bored or any other negative things are probably not going to be the ones. Another thing, try to be aware of the academic values. So as again, you know, they're trying to show you the bright side. So it will always be fair. Like you will not, when you have something like extra credit or extra time for a student or anything that's not fair for everyone. So that's probably not gonna be there. If you have an option that's like the professor will have only one student and like, or give them extra credit or assign something to help them improve their grade, that's probably not gonna be done. Okay, because it's supposed to be fair for everyone. So if you have something like A, the professor will give the student an extension, or B, the professor emphasizes that the student must hand in their paper on time, then it's gonna tend to be B. Okay, I'm not saying it's gonna be that one, but if you don't know, then I would choose B. And the same here, you know, the professor is supposed to be helpful. So she does not wanna help the student, or she wants to be fair to other students, makes more sense, right? She does not want to help the student. So that's something else I could say. Right, guys? So any questions before we take a look at the example? Okay, then. So let me see. All right, so we will listen to this now. Are you guys ready? Do you have a piece of paper there to take some notes? If you don't, please get one. So first thing, this is how it will be. You know, they're gonna play the audio, you will have an image there. Look at the picture. Sometimes it gives you an idea of what it's gonna be about or who the campus worker is gonna be. Sometimes you got some context as well. I don't know if it's the same right now, but you used to have context, something like even the names, you know, like, I don't know, Kiara wants to, or Kiara is having this problem and she goes see her professor or her advisor to talk about it. So if you have that, then read it, look at the picture. And right now when you're taking notes, remember the structure, you know, the student has a problem and the professor is there to help, to give advice. So I would take notes on that. I would try to identify what the problem is, and I would try to take notes on what the advice that the professor or the campus worker gives is. So what advice does that person give the student? If you have a list of things, take notes on it. If you have any details, take notes on that as well. And one thing that I've noticed is whenever the student asks questions, that's important. Usually you will have the same questions. I mean, in your questions, you will have the same ones that the student asked. So pay attention whenever you hear, because it will probably be also your question. So that's another thing. Okay, guys, so now I'll play it.
Everything all right, Carla?
Yes, I just wanted to talk to you about the assignment that's due on Monday.
I can't give you an extension if that's what you want.
No, it's not that. I wanted to ask you about the word limit. At the moment, I'm way over it, but I found so many useful sources that I don't really want to cut anything out.
Well, it's meant as a guide rather than a hard and fast rule. It's not as if I'll stop marking as soon as I reach the word limit.
It's cut off.
Two, and discard any information that isn't relevant to your premise.
Okay, I'll try that.
Remember, you can always refer to two or more sources in the same paragraph, in the same sentence even.
What do you mean?
If one of your citations seems to complement what the other says, you can refer to them at the same time. You can do that when they contradict each other, too. It's a perfectly acceptable way of constructing a paragraph.
I get you. Well, I'd better go. I've got a lot to do before Monday.
Hang on, Carla. While you're here, I wanted to mention something to you.
What's that?
Have you heard about the Harvey Graduate Business Program?
No?
It's a special scheme funded by the Harvey Group, you know, the financial place in town.
Yeah, I know it.
Well, they have a special program that they run especially for graduates. It's very exclusive. They only take on 3 people a year. Each of the major colleges in the state is invited to put forward a maximum of 5 students a year for consideration. And we only pick out the very best students, the ones with really high grades. I wondered if you'd be interested in trying out for it. After all, you've been doing well in all your modules.
Well, it sounds like an honor to be considered. I guess all those late nights working on assignments were worth it. What does the program give you?
Well, you get work and training at the Harvard Group for a year, and then they will fund your master's course a year down the line. I'm right that you're interested in doing a master's course, aren't I?
Yes, I was considering doing something management-based.
Well, I think they discuss with you what master's course would be best for you and them, depending on the department you're working on. So you may be obliged to do the course they want you to do, but it's bound to be useful. Then they employ you for another year. And after that, you can choose to stay with the company or move on somewhere else.
Harvey's a prestigious company. I couldn't see myself moving on fast if I managed to get my foot in the door.
Indeed. Well, is it something that might appeal to you?
Maybe. I was hoping to go abroad for a while, though. What do I have to do to apply? Do I need a resume? I was working on mine just the other night.
Well, there's a rather lengthy application form to fill out, so I don't think a resume is needed. Then, if you get through the first stage, you'll have to do a presentation. If they like you, they'll invite you back for an interview. It's pretty tough, as you can imagine, but I wouldn't suggest it to you if I didn't think you could do it. I mean, you've done some great presentations in class, and you've had the experience of setting up your own business, too.
No. I haven't done that.
Haven't you? I thought you did something selling perfumes.
That's Miranda.
Oh, is it? Well, sorry about that. My mistake. But you still had experience working in a business, haven't you?
Yeah, I've worked in my dad's office in the vacations.
Well, that's very valuable, and I'm sure you learned a lot from that. Well, if you're interested in the program, come to my office later on, and I'll give you the details. After 4 is best for me.
All right.
Thanks.
So, what do you guys think? How was it? Was it too long, maybe? A bit long, right?
We missed some of the information because it was cut off.
Really? What part?
Yes. Like in the middle.
Yeah, you want me to play it again? That part? Okay, I will play it.
I think so, probably.
All right, I will.
Does someone else agrees with me?
Well, I'd better.
I also have problems with the audio, but I think it was more at the beginning than at the middle.
Yes, it was like at the beginning.
It was like between second 30 and the first minute, something like that.
Okay, what about me playing the first half? Do you think that will work? Like 2 minutes, maybe. All right, I'll play the first half.
Everything all right, Carla?
Yes, I just wanted to talk to you about the assignment that's due on Monday.
I can't give you an extension if that's what you want.
No, it's not that. I wanted to ask you about the word limit. At the moment, I'm way over it, but I found so many useful sources that I don't really want to cut anything out.
Well, it's meant as a guide rather than a hard and fast rule. It's not as if I'll stop marking as soon as I reach the word limit, but I don't really want you to go way over it either. 2,800 is the absolute maximum, I'd say.
Wow, that's still going to be hard.
Well, you can use this opportunity to try to make your writing more succinct. It's good exercise in writing technique. Think about which of the writer's points you really want to draw attention to and discard any information that isn't really relevant to your premise.
Okay, I'll try that.
Remember, you can always refer to 2 or more sources in the same paragraph, in the same sentence even.
What do you mean?
If one of your citations seems to complement what the other says, you can refer to them at the same time. You can do that when they contradict each other, too. It's a perfectly acceptable way of constructing a paragraph.
I get you. Well, I'd better go. I've got a lot to do before Monday.
Okay,
on,
did you
Carla.
get to hear the last part about the program and everything? Was that okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So actually, now I'm realizing, I think most of it was about that, the program. So, okay, guys, so let's try and answer these questions. So we'll start with the first one. Remember, the first one is usually the main idea question. So in this case, it is, the question is, Carla wants to talk to the professor because, so they're basically asking why, why does Carla want to talk to the professor? So I'll give you some tips after we do this. Can anybody read the options, please?
I can.
Okay.
Carla wants to talk to the professor because she doesn't think she can finish her assignment in time. She has been unable to find good sources for her assignment. She is worried that her assignment is too long. She doesn't know how many sources she should refer to.
Okay, great. Thanks, Adrian. All right. So what do y'all think? Which one is it?
I think it's the third one.
The third one, okay. Do you all agree? Yeah?
Yeah.
Thumbs up? Okay, so let's see. So perfect, that's correct. She's worried that her assignment is too long. Awesome. So yeah, and great, because they're always gonna include options that they actually mentioned. They did talk about like how many sources she should refer to or how to find good sources, I think. And they even talk about the extension, at the beginning. But that's not the initial problem. They could also include something about the program, like she wants to have more information about this program. But you always want to get to the main thing, not the main thing, to the initial thing, So the initial problem, the original problem that she had, the reason why she went to see the professor, the initial thing, it's always going to be at the beginning, like in the first 30 seconds. Here's the script. So I wanted to ask you about the word limit. At the moment, I'm way over it, but I found so many useful sources that I don't really want to cut anything out. So that was the initial problem about the word limit. Okay. Now, you don't really need to take notes on that. I don't think you have, I don't know, you needed to look at your notes in order to answer that question. The next one, though, is, this is a detailed question. So this one is, read the 6 sentences below. Which 2 does the professor advise Carla to do? So this is the advice that the professor gives, I hope that you guys took notes on this, because this is really important information. It's a list of things. Let's see which ones the professor mentions. So can anybody please read the options?
The professor definitely mentioned number 1, making her writing more concise.
Okay. We need one more though, right? Because we have 1 and 3, 2 and 4, 5 and 6, 3 and 4, and 1 and 6. So, David, is it 1 and 3 or 1 and 6?
Okay. I think it's 3.
1 and 3, okay. What is the rest thing?
I think it's 2 and 4, maybe.
2 and 4, okay. Who was that, sorry?
Me.
Nicola, okay, 2 and 4. Maybe, yeah. Use just one piece of information from each source and discard information from less reliable sources. All right, makes sense. I was saying, Adriana, any thoughts?
I was thinking it is 5 and 6, but I'm not sure.
5 and 6. Okay, we have different options. Corina?
I agree with David. I think it's 1 and 3.
Okay, so we already have 2 people there. Let's go for that one. 1 and 3. So yeah, that was correct. 1 and 3, make your writing more concise and focus on comparing and contrasting info. So the thing is, they do, okay, as David said at the beginning, it's definitely 1. Now, the thing is, I don't think the professor exactly said, you should make your writing more concise. So, let's look at the transcript. Okay, so you can use this opportunity to try to make your writing more succinct. So the thing is, look for synonyms, that's why it's important not only taking notes, but understanding, what the idea is. So making your writing more concise is the same as making your writing more succinct. It's like writing the same thing, but in less words. So, and it also makes sense, about 6, ensure that there's a reference to a source in every sentence. So I'm not sure if that really would help. I think that actually would make it longer, if she uses a reference to a source in every sentence. But yeah, it's definitely 1, and it's also 3, comparing and contrasting information. So they do talk a lot about that. If they say, so when they complement each other, you can refer to them at the same time. And when they contradict each other too. So complement, compare, and contradict, contrast. Look for those synonyms. It's not always going to be pink, and sometimes you just have to paraphrase what they're saying. So even if you take notes, try to paraphrase your notes as well. Okay, and also take notes on the advice, on the solutions that the campus worker offers. Okay, so moving on to the third one. Maybe Dana, I don't know if you're there. Are you there? Nope. Okay, then Dani, do you think I can read this one?
The Harvard Graduate Business Program provides young people with a funded master's course of their choice, overseas work experience, work in various departments in the company, a total of 2 years employment at the Harvard Group.
Okay, thank you. So, which one is it gonna be? Look at your notes. This is a very detailed question.
I'm between 1 and 3. I'm not sure if the master was of the choice of the student. So
You're right, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Have the
I
same
don't write that down, but I don't remember.
Okay, so yeah.
I think it's number 3.
3, work in various departments in the company. Okay. Nicolas, what do you think?
I'm also between 1 and 3.
1 and 3. All right. David?
I'm between 1 and 4.
Okay, there's a 4. A total of 2 years employment. Okay, I need someone else to break this.
I'm not sure. Maybe it could be 3 too.
Okay. Cayetano, what are you gonna say? Just choose one of them. You're gonna be the one that breaks this tie.
No pressure, bro.
Which one do you feel like?
The first, I don't know, I'm not sure.
Oh, your instinct. Or guess, if you have to.
The first?
The first one. Okay, let's go for that one. So it's actually not the first one. The third one, I think, was like, okay, so it was the fourth one. David was right. Was that your first instinct, David?
Yeah, I think I missed that because they mentioned of course they mentioned the master's course, but they also mentioned that they wanted to hire some of the best students, and they could decide to leave the company after the period is over or not.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think
yeah,
period is the word.
after the program is over, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay, so yes, you're right. So the thing is, I think it was both the first one and the third one, you know, but you cannot choose two. So it's gotta be the third one. A funded master's course of their choice, it is mentioned, and they do offer this, I think, and they also offer work in various departments, you know, so you get to work and to study, I think, kind of at the same time. But at the end of the day, it's a total of 2 years employment at the Harvey Group, because you're there, you're an employee, you're employed in the Harvey Group, and you get to do this master's course. I don't know if it's of your choice or they choose it for you, but you get to do it at the same time that you're working. And I'm not sure about the 2 years. Let's see in the transcript. So, okay. Remember I said, you know, pay attention to the questions or the responses to the questions that the student asked. So what does the program give you? And the professor says, you get work and training at the Harvey Group for a year, and then they will fund you your master's course a year down the line. What else? I think they discuss what master's course will be best for you and them, depending on the department you're working on. So you may be obliged to do the course they want you to do, but it's bound to be useful. So yeah, they do not get to choose the course they want to do, and then they employ you for another year. So here it is. So basically you work and you're trained. So you get work and training the first year, and you also get the master's course down the line, and then they employ you for another year. So it's a total of 2 years employment. All right, it's a very specific detail. So yeah, nothing to say really, just pay attention and take notes. Okay, the next one though, I think I like this one, or this type of question. Whenever you have this, like listen to Carla or listen to the professor, or listen to this person, and they're gonna be playing some portion of the audio for you. So just a phrase or something. And then they're gonna be asking you to kind of paraphrase that. So what does this person mean when they say that? And it's like a paraphrase question from the reading section. So you just have to find out what that means. So in this case, we don't have the audio, sorry, I'll read it for you. So Carla says, Harvey's a prestigious company. I couldn't see myself moving on fast if I managed to get my foot in the door. So what does Carla mean by that? After work at Harvey's, I'd be able to get a job in a very prestigious company. If I got the job at Harvey's, I wouldn't have to work there forever. if I got a job at Harvey's, I wouldn't want to leave the company for some time. Or once I've got a job at Harvey's, I would probably be promoted very quickly. So what does she mean? Take some time.
Maybe the first one. For me, it's
Okay.
the first one.
After I've worked at Harvey's, could be, all right? Have one here.
I think it's the third one.
Third one. Okay. Joaquin, which one will you go for?
I'm agree, and I think it's the third one too.
The third one. Okay, so let's go for the third one. Oh, where is it? Okay, so great, that's actually correct. Remember, paraphrasing. This phrase is the one that we're looking at. The first thing I'm noticing, it's a conditional sentence. If I managed to get my foot in the door, I couldn't see myself moving on fast. Now, this is a conditional, if. Now, the first one is after I've worked at Harvey's. The last one is once I've got a job at Harvey's. So do you guys think it's the same? Is that the same? If I get the job, or if I manage to get my foot, or after, or once, or even when? Who can tell me what the difference is? What if I say, if it rains, or when it rains, or after it rains, or once it rains? What's the difference?
Okay, if we say when it rains, we're talking about what we do every time it rains.
Okay.
If we say if it rains,
But
we're talking about, we're saying we will do something in case it rains.
okay. So yeah, I like that, in case. But when we say when, we're also talking about what we do every time it rains, or whenever it rains. Like when it rains, I use an umbrella. So every time it rains, I use an umbrella. So it's kind of the same in that sense. Okay, I think my example was kind of weird. But okay, changing it a little bit. What if I say, if it rains today, I will wear an umbrella. And when it rains today, I will wear an umbrella. What's the difference then?
One is a fact.
Exactly, yeah. And if?
It's an hypothetical situation, maybe.
Yes, perfect. So yeah, when you say if, you're speaking, you're talking about the possibility that it will rain. You're not 100% sure that it will rain. But if you say when it rains, so you're affirming that it will rain. So you're not like you're 100% sure. So in this case, Carla says, if I manage to get my foot in the door, not when I managed to get my foot in the door, or after I've managed to get my foot in the door. So, I don't think A or the last one could be, or the first one or the last one, because it's not the same. If it's a possibility or a hypothetical situation, as Nicolas says, and when it's a fact, it's something that you're sure of. And what else? We have here some kind of idiomatic expression, we could call it. If I manage to get my foot in the door, what do you guys think that means? Is it like literally stepping inside, or putting your feet in the door? What do you think?
It means that something like if she manages to be accepted on the company.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. So if she manages to get accepted, to get in, to get the job, so that's correct. So if I got the job, we have that part already. It could be this one or this one. And this part here, I'm sure you know what this means. I couldn't see myself moving on fast. So she couldn't see herself moving on. Moving on is just like doing something else, like moving on somewhere else to some other company maybe, or just leaving the company. So she's probably she's probably gonna wanna stay there, once she, or if she gets the job. All right. And the last one, which one of these does Carla not need to do? An except type of question. And it's a detail, type of question as well. So does she need to send in a resume, complete an application form, give a presentation, or attend an interview? Which one does she not need to do?
The first one.
In a resume?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, it's correct. It's at the end, right? And again, it's a question that she asked, I was hoping to go abroad. I don't know. What do I have to do to apply? Do I need a resume? I was working on mine just the other night. So it's a question that she asks, and then you get the list of things that you need to, or the requirements that you need to apply to this job, right? So pay attention to that. Okay, guys, so great. You got them all. We got them all, right? Didn't we? I think we did. So that's awesome. I think this, as I said at the beginning, I think this part of the test is one of the easiest ones. So you got casual vocabulary. They don't really talk that fast. They're talking college stuff. Maybe you need some vocabulary like master or that kind of stuff, but it's not that hard. In the lectures, you will get some academic things. So it will get a bit harder, but it's still okay. So, practice this, or what can I say? All right, guys. So any questions before we leave? You guys have any questions, comments, anything? Okay, yeah. So please, before you go, I just started today's survey. You could answer those questions.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Aye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
And teacher.
Yeah.
Liliana was not with me on this class. She's busy.
Oh, yeah, I see. All right, that's okay. She can watch the recording.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Dana.
Okay, teacher. Only
Okay.
that.